Why did God make us Edomites?
I hate my life.
This is our kingdom, a kingdom of righteousness. Praise the Lord. Praise ye the Lord.
Why did God make us Edomites? God hates us.
The only deliverance the other nations are going to get is deliverance right into slavery. They're going to be our slaves. Thus saith the Lord.
Why did God make us Edomites? God hates us. Why? God, why?
Jeremiah 30:16 tells you every last one of the other nations, which are non-Israelites, are going into captivity. They're going into slavery underneath the Israelites when the Israelites go back into rulership. When is the Israelites going to go back into rulership? When the Lord comes. That's what he's coming to do. He's coming to set up the Israelites in rulership, beginning with King David. And when I say rulership, meaning the planet Earth, we're going to be ruling the planet Earth in righteousness. After he puts down the wicked. Who's the wicked? The Edomites, which are in power right now. Who are the Edomites? The so-called white man.
Why did God make us Edomites? God hates us. Why? God, why?
Praise the Lord, for he is greatly to be feared. He removed the wicked and put us righteous in power, to victory and the dawn of a new era.
And when I say rulership, meaning the planet Earth, we're going to be ruling the planet Earth in righteousness. After he puts down the wicked. Who's the wicked? The Edomites, which are in power right now. Who are the Edomites? The so-called white man.
This is our kingdom, a kingdom of righteousness. Praise the Lord Yahweh. Praise ye the Lord.
Beginning with those top banking families, which happen to be so-called white people. We're talking about the Rothschilds, Rockefellers. We're talking about the DuPonts. We're talking about the Gettys, the Oppenheimers, and families like that. Okay, so when Yahushua comes back, he's going to take away their rulership, which they're enjoying right now. That's the long and short of it, of this ministry, man.
Thanks, James. I need 200 pounds by sunset.
Yes, sir. I'm on it, Master. Why did God make us Edomites?
I hate my life.
Why did God make us Edomites?
I hate my life.
Praise the Lord, for he is greatly to be feared. He removed the wicked and put us righteous in power.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders, GMS, who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua. All right, pushing to get up out here. Shalom to the hopeful the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh by Shemal Shah. All right, and what we want to get into this morning, is dealing with, all right, the American circus. Now, what you had yesterday or the day before, you had Trump, address, the UN meeting. Okay, so he addresses an international crowd, for all these leaders, from these other nations, which was in New York, which in New York is a major, headquarter of the elites. Okay, that's where most of the gold, all right, that America has, that they stole, during the Nixon era, okay, from these other nations. is housed, okay, in New York. All right, that's the place of trade, world trade, world commerce. Okay, so America is a, New York, is a hub, okay, for the elites. You see, and their puppets, all right, their underlings, these world leaders, were gathered into this UN meeting, and Trump pretty much embarrassed his goddamn self, man. And it just shows you, that character, that Trump character that he puts on, all right, for the American people, it doesn't translate, okay, against, international audience, people who really know what's going on, okay, people that understand the world and how it works. He can tell Americans anything because Americans don't know, niggas don't know, okay. So I'm gonna play that clip, but first let's go here to the Book of Psalms. I got a few clips on it. Ultimately, Trump is a running joke. America's a running joke, especially after, last night, after Trump, got out there and sounded and looked like a complete ass. Okay. Look, it's completely incompetent. You see? And these are the things that the Lord say will happen, in the latter days. Okay. And we're gonna get prophecy to prove it. But let's set the foundation with this. Psalm 74 and 5. It says, I said unto the fools, deal not foolishly, and to the wicked lift not up the horn. Okay, and we know the fool is Esau Edom. All right, that's why it's linked to foolish with the wicked. Okay, so the fool in this context is Esau Edom. Okay, and this man is a goddamn fool, which is empty headed. Okay, because the fact that he's trying to pull this off, this new world order, he's a goddamn fool, man. To think that he's gonna forever rebel against Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, okay, with no consequence. You see, and he has lifted up his horn, his power. He has exalted himself. With the power he was given, he has exalted himself as if, he is. Okay, he said, lift not up your horn on high, speak not with a stiff neck. And this devil has been hardened, just as Pharaoh's been hardened. Okay, and in his mind, he got this thing, okay, he got this thing in the wraps. What he's trying to pull off in his mind, he's going to accomplish it. Okay, he's moving, okay, with full belief that he's finna pull this off. He has a stiff neck, you know. He's unmovable, okay, in his purpose on the left hand side. All right, until the Lord moves this man. You see, it said for promotion coming neither from the east nor from the west nor from the south, which promotion doesn't come from anywhere in the earth. Okay, for a nation to come into power, well, it has to be ordained from on high. Okay, and this devil, as he's been given power, he thinks that he can ordain himself to continue ruling. Okay, and that's where he's wrong. Okay, he said, but the Most High, the judge, he put him down one and set it up another. Okay, so America is going to be the latest. Esau Edom as a nation and America as an empire. All right, is going to be the latest example of the Lord putting down one and setting up another. Which he's going to put them down and set up his government, his people, which is the nation of Israel, man. Okay, beginning with the elect, all right, under Yahweh Shai. Okay, so we're in the time of a great transition. Okay, and before, okay, America falls, it will be a laughing stock. And this is a running theme with these empires. Because before the Assyrians fell, their last king was known to be a cross dresser. Okay, no one took him serious, man. He was just a lewd, just a freak. You go to the last king of Assyria. Okay, when you go into uh, during the time of the Babylonians, their last king, all right, he was considered, incompetent. That's why a lot of his nobles, all right, they allowed the Persians to just come in, okay, because they looked at, the last king of Babylon as incompetent. I forgot his name exactly, but it started with an N because he was the father of Belshazzar, and he was always gone all the time, and he left Belshazzar, in charge of Babylon while he was gone, and he was on the tour, and you know, he forsook, the main deity Marduk, and started worshiping the moon god, and started going on tours, of his kingdom, and abandoned, the king's, rituals and different things. But long story short, the last king of Babylon, they looked at him as incompetent and a joke. Okay. Then you even go to the Medo-Persian Empire, Darius the Third. Okay, the king that Alexander the Greek, okay, took down. Okay, he was a clown. He was a joke. Okay, and he even abandoned, his wife and children, his wife and mother. Okay, on the battlefield, fleeing Alexander. That's how Alexander was able to take, his mother and his wife hostage, because he fled them. All right, cowardly on the battlefield, man. He was a coward king. Okay, so whenever you see these incompetents, okay, in high places, a clown, okay, the Lord's getting ready to take this place down, man, because that's just a running theme when you go into these different empires, and it's the Lord that's doing it. Okay, so let's go. You go and get the video. There's a few videos I got. Well, that was Nebuchadnezzar father. I had to look it up. You probably just brother can look up father of Belshazzar, and then go into it. But let's get this here. Let's get the video. All right, of Trump. And this is the latest talk. The international community. And Trump making himself look like a goddamn ass. Okay, in front of these people, man. Okay, so let's play this.
So Trump gave a speech to the UN General Assembly, and it was an absolute dumpster fire. So I have some clips here spliced together by Zeteo, and just prepare yourself, because as bad as you think it is, it's actually worse. Take a look.
The teleprompter is not working, and whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble. I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help. All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. But she's in great shape. These are the two.
Now, by the way, come to find out, somebody that was in Trump's group of people accidentally shut the escalator down. But MAGA was reacting like World War III just started. And they were saying that, we need to leave the United Nations. We need to attack the United Nations. We need to do an investigation. We need to figure out who's responsible and bring him to justice. This was a threat. They could have assassinated him. Like, they're saying all these different things. Meanwhile, it was somebody from Trump's group that accidentally shut the escalator down. That just encapsulates perfectly these fucking clowns.
First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. But she's in great shape. These are the 2 things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. Everyone says that I should get the Nobel Peace Prize for each one of these achievements. The number one political issue of our time, the crisis of uncontrolled migration. It's uncontrolled. Your countries are being ruined. Do you have to end it now? Let's see, I can tell you. I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell.
This is what Ivy League universities you can get into with a 3.6 GPA.
90% is...
I look at London.
And look at their faces, this nigga talking, man. The nigga from Germany is trying to figure out what the hell is this nigga talking about, man. Okay? Because as these other politicians, which we know everything is corrupt, but there is a level, of nobility. You see, because Trump is finna try to talk about science, and he explains it like a kindergarten. But you go into these other, leaders, they do have a true understanding of economics, a true understanding of science to a degree. Because when you're a leader, you're supposed to be well versed in multiple things. Okay, and these different leaders, They know what's going on. So the shit that Trump is able to jump on, you know, Fox News and these American platforms and sound like this great nigga amongst the international community. He a goddamn clown, man. These folks know he don't know what the fuck he talking about, man. Okay, Trump is a goddamn actor, man. Okay, and that shit worked for America, dumb down America, but that shit do not fly overseas, man. Look how they looking at this nigga, man. It's a joke. You see? All right, so let's keep playing.
I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell. Your country. Jesus Christ. Look, I have to say, I don't normally end of this speech. I was like, right now, American. It is humanous. So how many people in other countries look at Trump and start thinking like, I guess all the Americans are kind of like that to one extent or another. They elected him. But it's like, no, I'm telling you, more than half of us fucking despise this guy. Holy shit.
I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell. I look at London where you have a terrible mayor, terrible mayor. And it's been so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law.
Oh, what a loathsome fucking bigot. Holy shit. No, London is not moving to Sharia law because they have a Muslim mayor. Oh my God.
Getting rid of the falsely named renewables. By the way, they're a joke. They don't work. If you don't get away from this green scam, your country is going to fail. And I'm really good at predicting things, They actually said during the campaign, they had a hat, the best-selling hat. Trump was right about everything. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but it's true. I've been right about everything.
Something has died in me, y'all. Something has died in me. Like, what the fuck is this? This doesn't even feel like real life, right? This doesn't even feel like real life. This feels fake.
In the United States, we have still radicalized environmentalists. And they want the factories to stop. Everything should stop. No more cows. We don't want cows anymore. I guess they want to kill all the cows.
What? By the way, it's Rich, him talking about the environmentalists. They want the factories to go away. You're making our factories go away. Your policies are screwing over workers in this country. We lost 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more than that, because of your fucking dumbass tariff policy and you shutting down all the bills that Joe Biden passed, which were going to create hundreds of thousands of factory jobs. Oh my God.
And we have a shape, and that shape doesn't just go straight up. That shape is amorphous when it comes to the atmosphere. But the problem is that other countries, like China, which has air that's a little bit rough, it blows. And no matter what you're doing down here, the air up here tends to get very dirty because it comes in from other countries where their air isn't so clean.
Yeah, that's his whole shtick as to why we need to gut the EPA and have no environmental regulations. His whole shtick is like, well, the air's the air, and the air is going to come from polluted places and come to where we are. So, like, why should we do anything to try to fix our air and fix our water and make sure everything's good? We should just be as dirty and disgusting as countries with no environmental regulations.
And free speech and free expression. Let us protect religious liberty, including for the most.
He brings up defending free speech and free expression. Literally the same week, he's waging a fucking war on free speech in this country.
In free expression, let us protect religious liberty, including for the most persecuted religion on the planet today. It's called Christianity.
I'm done, man. I listen to that and I'm like, is there really any way he even believes all that? And I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but it is fucking, I mean, just so insufferable. Who can support this guy? Who can support this guy? It's like he wages a war not only on science, but also like reason and intellect. That shit is. He's just a bleeding old man who he's never mind run a country, never mind the most powerful country on earth. Jesus Christ. But I'm not done. I got other examples for you. So here's Trump flat out lying about his poll numbers. Here's what he said.
The American public agrees with it. I mean, I was very proud to see this morning I have the highest poll number.
Yes, lucky. It wouldn't let me unmute it. You know, this mute button tripped. But yeah, just going back to what Trump, you know, what he was saying that Christians, okay, are the most persecuted religion in the world. And that's a goddamn lie, man. Okay, that's a goddamn lie. All right, because you think about it, you have these Christian, so-called Christian countries, America, you know, the West, Europe, and what are they doing? They're waging war, okay, on all these Islamic countries. Okay, there's no one being bombed more than Islamic countries. Okay. When you go to Gaza, what is that? It's a genocide on Islamic people. And then even, you know, the persecutions of Christians that you see, all right, in the Middle East, guess what? They're by these extreme terror groups that were funded and created by the CIA, all right, and the Israeli Mossad. Okay? The West created these extremist groups, Al-Qaeda, going back to Bin Laden, okay? ISIS, all right, going back to Mossad, the small hats, okay, all these different groups, okay, that are extremists in the Middle East are supported and funded continually, okay, by CIA and Mossad. Because where are they getting this funding from? You know, because you look at all these Islamic countries, you have Saudi Arabia, they don't persecute Christians, okay. You look at Iran, they don't persecute Christians. Okay, Qatar, all right. These nations, Jordan, okay, Lebanon, they don't persecute Christians. It's these extremist groups created by the West that persecute Christians. When the Syrian government fell, okay, what did they do? Okay, the CIA and Mossad, all right, the Israeli Secret Service, they propped up ex-Al-Qaeda leader, okay, for the government, okay, in Syria. And what did he begin to do? He began to persecute Christians, okay? So these devils love to create these narratives, you know, and ultimately when they say a Christian, they're talking about white Christian nationalists, okay? And I'm talking about Big Mama and them down at the church selling fish plates. No, they talking about Edomite. They paint a picture of these wholesome Edomite Christian families. That's why even with this guy, C. Kirk, okay, what was his image? He was this squeaky clean Christian Edomite man, okay, with a wife and children. You see, so when he's speaking about Christian, he's talking about these conservative MAGA supporters that claim to be Christians, man. Okay, which don't believe in none of the Bible, don't push none of the Bible. Okay, but that's what he's speaking of when he's saying the Christians are persecuted more than ever. But let's play this some more.
I've ever had. Part of it is because of what we've done on the border. I guess the other part is what we've done in the economy. Joe Biden.
Economic indicators that we have a massive downturn coming. He's like, people love how I'm doing on the economy.
His policies empowered murderous gangs, human smugglers, child traffickers, drug cartels, and prisoners from all over the world.
So anyway, needless to say, his my approval rating is the highest it's ever been. Completely and utterly false. In fact, it's some of the lowest he's ever had. 37%, 38%. Maybe the high in one poll is like 42%. But he's at a low now, and he's pretending like he's at a high because he doesn't. I'm telling you guys, he is a right-wing postmodernist to a T. There is no objective truth. There's only his truth that he makes up, and then he runs with it, and he hammers it home day in and day out. All right, so we also have this. This is incredible. French President Emmanuel Macron was stopped by police in New York City last night after roads were blocked for Donald Trump's motorcade. He called Trump and said, "Guess what? I'm waiting in the street because everything is closed for you." Macron had to walk 30 minutes through Manhattan. The French president walking through Manhattan. Watch this.
I'm sorry, I'm the president. I'm really sorry. It's just that everything's in frozen right now. There's a motorcade coming right now. I'm sorry.
If you don't see it, let me cross. How are you? Guess what? I'm waiting in the street because everything is frozen for you. Are we ready for a while?
Imagine walking around in New York City and like casually seeing the French president taking pictures with people. Look at his face. He's like, I do not want to be doing this right now. I want to be at the UN.
Voilà. Thank you. Take care. Take care. Thank you. Thank you.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
How about this? Daniel.
And then it's just a thing of the devil, having no class. Like here it is, all these people coming from that country, to this meeting in New York. And Trump has these niggas walking on feet, man. Just a goddamn asshole, man. You see? And that's how, the world views, all right, America, all right, is a goddamn asshole, man. Okay? So let's go here. Let's play, let's get this precept. This the brother on the Wild GMS prayer, always hopeful. Like Isaiah 19:11. It said, "What fools are the officials of Zoan?" All right, and Zoan was a, supposed to be like a center, of wisdom back in ancient Egypt. Okay, and we know this is spiritual Egypt. Okay, so we're seeing the Lord just strip away, the integrity. Because when it comes to rulership and leadership, there's certain attributes that you should have. You should have honesty, integrity. You should have a level, of hospitality. Okay, he just no noble traits, man. No traits of, any honor and integrity, man. It's just a shit show of a government, man. Okay, and the elites, they put, all right, these idiots in office, okay, for the sake of control. Because Trump not running a goddamn thing. Okay, he's just a character. All right, yeah, no decorum. No decorum, man. You see, well, brother, pull that definition up, man. Okay, but Trump is a goddamn clown. He just gets on there, okay, and he's everything that he said and scripted. That's why he's talking about the teleprompter broke. Okay, in the UN, council, in the UN meeting. He's talking about the teleprompter broke. Well, why do you need a teleprompter? If you're discussing, real problems and real solutions, why the hell do you need a teleprompter? If you're informed, if you're truly informed about what's going on, and you truly have your own policies of what you think need to happen, you don't need a teleprompter. Okay? But this man is like he's a reality TV celebrity, man. Okay? And you don't have real leaders in the US. You have TV reality TV, okay, celebrities, man, actors, man. Okay, these people are not informed about what's really happening, man. Okay, he's there to distract, okay, and cause division. All right, and have you people hyped up. Okay, so finish this off. It says their best counsel to the king of Egypt is stupid and wrong. Will they still boast to Pharaoh, okay, of their wisdom? Okay, it says, will they brag about all their wives and sisters, man. And this is what these devils is trying to bring back, Edomite male supremacy. We're in rulership because we're wiser, we're stronger, we're, natural selection. You see, we was founded on, ingenuity and hard work, which is a goddamn lie. The ingenuity and hard work of the slaves, man. Okay, well, it's another topic, but the brother got the definition. The wireless, the brother Dream Crew TV said decorum is behavior, speech, or appearance that is considered polite, proper, and respectable in a given social or professional setting, showing good manners and respect, and involves maintaining orderliness and behaving with dignity, appropriateness, and good taste according to social conventions, man. And indeed, America doesn't have this. America doesn't have decorum, man. All right. America looks like a nigga. Trump looks like just a nigga that's out of place amongst these international leaders, man. He looks like a nigga that's out of place, man. Okay? Because this is how far, America has fallen, man, to a clown show, a circus, a joke. Okay? So let's let this play some more.
Dale, he decided to actually do his job on CNN and actually fact check some of the horseshit that Trump was saying, and he gave us this segment. Take a look.
There are a lot of issues there. So first of all, some of the conflicts he's counting as wars he resolved were not actually wars at all. For example, Egypt and Ethiopia have argued over an Ethiopian dam project on the Blue Nile, but they were not in a raging war in which thousands of people were being killed.
Can we just point out the fact that anybody has to explain, no, Trump didn't stop 7 wars. The fact that that even needs to be said is incredibly fucking disturbing. I mean, it is just wild to me that he can come up with the most bombastic, insane claim and 70% of his supporters immediately believe it.
Similarly, Trump has claimed that he prevented conflict between Serbia and Kosovo from resuming, but they were not in a raging war either. In addition, the conflict involving the Democratic Republic of Congo and neighboring Rwanda has not actually been resolved. We have good reporting from just a day ago talking about how hostilities have continued despite the peace deal that was signed under President Trump. And then in addition to that, India denies that President Trump was responsible for mediating its ceasefire, its truce with neighboring Pakistan. So a whole lot of issues with just that one claim. And Pamela, there were a whole bunch of other claims that were just out and out false. So I don't even have time to run through all of them. But on inflation, President Trump said that grocery prices are down during this presidency. They're up, and the pace of the increases is accelerating as the tariffs take effect. He has claimed that inflation has been defeated in general. No, inflation is also accelerating. It was 2.9% last month, up from 2.7%. He said that European electricity bills are high, which is true, but that ours are coming way down. No, in the U.S., they are increasing sharply, up 6.2% in August compared to a year prior. And there were a whole bunch of other topics. He claimed that he has secured $17 trillion in investment in the U.S. Well, just yesterday, his own White House press secretary said it was about $9 trillion in investment. So I don't know where the additional $8 trillion in a day has come from. And even that initial $9 trillion the press secretary claimed is highly dubious, counting a whole bunch of things that aren't actually spending, but rather are vague commitments from various countries. You and Kylie addressed the environmental claims. I just want to address one more. He claimed that China builds a lot of wind turbines and manufactures them for others, but refuses to use it itself, barely uses wind power. In fact, China is the world leader in the use of wind power. It is building additional wind power.
It's unbelievable. Every fucking word is a lie.
In China, far faster.
He's just up there saying any goddamn thing. And like I say, that shit works for the American public. You can tell the American public these things, and you'll get simple niggas on TikTok, making videos. See, China don't even use, clean power. See, Trump is doing this, and Trump got this, and see the economy. It's a nigga had no idea about a tariff. What a tariff was. Nigga found out about tariffs in June, but now September, nigga is giving you the rundown on TikTok about tariffs. Niggas don't know what's going on. That's why he's able to come up here and say any goddamn thing. Trump is just a distraction while the New World Order is being rolled out. All right in front of your eyes. Okay, he's just a character of controversy. Whether you hate him or like him, you're distracted. Okay, and you following this guy and all this nonsense that he's speaking on, because he's speaking on things that are not relevant to nothing. Okay, I say he's trying to speak like a scientist. Say, see, They air go up and down. You know, our air go like this. You know, he making movement with his hand like, nigga, what? Okay? A complete goddamn embarrassment, man. You see? And they were laughing at this man at this meeting. You know? They would laugh. This is a goddamn Saturday Night Live. They might well get the guy to play Trump on Saturday Night Live. They could have brought him up here. It would have been the same thing. Okay? This look like a goddamn skit, man. You see? And play this.
Sort of the pace at which the U.S. is building in the United States itself. So the idea that China is just, foisting this terrible source of energy on other countries while refusing to use it is a reversal of reality.
I can't, bro. What do you do when you've actually entered a post-truth world? I don't know the answer to that because I'm sitting here like a fucking wonk, like a nerd, going, sir, that's not actually technically correct. That's factually wrong, and here's why. And like, what do you do when the people with the fucking bigger megaphone are the ones who are spewing the bullshit 24/7? I don't have the answer to that, but I know it's absolute poison. It's absolute cancer in our politics. There's no doubt about that. None whatsoever.
Yeah, in American politics, it's done. All right, it's a joke. Okay, and I got this other video. I'm gonna get some precepts. Let's get this from the brother, and the brother been posted. So let's this Jacob will prevail. Jeremiah 49:7 concerning Edom. Thus said the Lord of hosts. All right, is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? Okay, and just as the Lord, gave this man, a certain wisdom, to come into power. Well, the Lord is scripting that wisdom, because you go into Teman, which are those Germans, a lot of these think tanks, all right, they really, make the decisions that, they really run the numbers and, do the, the decision making, constantly running these different simulations and studying the outcomes and going down, what can happen, they really get into, all right, the tediousness, okay, of running the government and be these think tanks. I think America, the main one is the RAND, all right, RAND, the RAND group, okay, there's one of them, all right, and it's pretty much a think tank, okay. So you have to understand, by the time Trump gets his instructions, you have these think tanks, all right, that have ran through all the scenarios, the data, the numbers, what can happen once you make this decision, once you put this in play, the ripple effect of it. Okay. So Trump is not, at the desk, okay, and thinking about what to do next about American policy. No, this nigga is waiting on a phone call, okay, or he's being briefed about what to do, what this going to affect, all right, and then he goes and does it. But you have these Temanite think tanks, okay, that are coming up with a lot of these policies, man, and they come up with a lot of American, Edomite engineering, a lot of the engineers, all right, of Esau's empire are Teman, okay. So the Lord, if you break down, Teman, is the backbone, okay, of how this Edomite empire is running between Teman and Amalek, which Amalek is the financiers, and Teman, is the think tank, okay. So the Lord is breaking the Edomite empire down, man, all right, and you see that America has been reduced, okay, to a laughing stock, okay. And brother can put that in Habakkuk 2:16, with their shameful spewing, okay. So let's go here. I got another one.
The UN this week and made Donald Trump went to the UN this week and made a complete ass out of himself with his xenophobic comments, telling other countries that they're going to hell, and of course, ranting and raving like a lunatic about escalators, marble floors, and a malfunctioning teleprompter. The whole thing was a shit show from start to finish. Like, this might be one of the most humiliating moments that Donald Trump has given the United States ever, because he did it to an international audience. Stories about what happened yesterday are running right now in international news. They covered it on their nightly news programs. It's in their papers today. They're all laughing at us. Much like, by the way, the members of the assembly laughed at Trump at certain points during his speech. For example, when he boasted about offering to give them new marble floors many years ago and nobody took me up on that, everybody laughed at him because it was a very dumb, irrelevant thing to say. So our president of the United States, the convicted felon, the mentally ill convicted felon, got up there, made a fool of himself, and was laughed at on the international stage. More on exactly what Trump said in just a moment, but first a quick word from today's video sponsor. If you're always coming up with great ideas on the go or the Plod Note pen. Now, Trump started off.
You're not going to believe what happened. Tell me everything. I'll show you on Monday.com. So I started the biggest initiative of the
saying things like, you know, he ended 7 wars, which for the record is not true. All of those conflicts that Donald Trump claims he has solved, there have been attacks and killings and military operations for each and every one of them within the last 2 weeks. None of them actually stopped. Some of them where he's like, I got them to sign the peace treaty. No treaty was ever signed. So right off the bat, let's understand he didn't end a single war anywhere on planet Earth, except, of course, the war on science here in the United States. He won that, unfortunately. But he said the UN did not even try to help. It's too bad that I had to do these things instead of the United Nations doing them. That being the case, what is the purpose of the United Nations? The UN has such tremendous potential, but it's not even coming close to living up to that potential for the most part. All they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter. It's empty words, and empty words don't solve war. So you're insulting the very body that you're speaking to. And of course, it is important to note that this actually happened after they laughed at him. So once they laughed at him, he's like, all right, all bets are off. I'm going to start, insulting you guys. So turnabout's fair play, I guess. But then he got into the really hateful, Islamophobic, xenophobic, basically racist part of his speech. Now, bear with me because this is a long one, but I want you to hear these words that the President of the United States of America told to the United Nations. We have reasserted that America belongs to the American people, and I encourage all countries to take their own stand in defense of their citizens as well. You have to do that because I see it. I'm not mentioning names. I see and I can call every single one of them out. You're destroying your countries. They're being destroyed. Europe's in serious trouble. They've been invaded by a force of illegal aliens like nobody's ever seen before. Illegal aliens are pouring into Europe. Nobody is doing anything to change it, to get them out. It's not sustainable. And because they choose to be politically correct, they're just doing absolutely nothing about it. And I have to say, I look at London. First of all, I love how he's like, I could name them, but I'm not. And then he's like, Europe, London. Anyway. I look at London. You have a terrible mayor, terrible, terrible mayor. And it's been so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law, but you're in a different country. You can't do that. Both the immigration and their suicidal energy ideas will be the death of Western Europe if something is not done immediately. This cannot be sustained. What makes the world so beautiful is that each country is unique. But to stay a sovereign nation must have the right to control their own borders. You have the right to control your borders as we do now, and to limit the sheer numbers of migrants entering their countries and paid for by the people of that nation that were there and that built that particular nation at the time, put their blood, sweat, tears, money into that country, and now they're being ruined. I can tell you, I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell.
Trump told them people that their countries are going to hell, man. Like America just got their shit together. And then he talks about the migrants that are flooding Europe. Well, all the migrants that have been let into America, and you think Trump, all right, deporting, 100, so-called Mexicans from Home Depot, okay, is fixing, all right, the years, okay, it's the several years of immigrants flooding into this place, man, okay. But he just get up there and say anything. So real quick for the scripture, let's get some scriptures. And I'm gonna let the rest of this play because I want to make a comparison. He's gonna say something, comparing Trump to Hitler. We're gonna go into that comparison, because it's the same play. The elites, they use the same play, over and over again. Okay. Now let's go here. The brother got that for me. It's the brother GMS per always. Hopeful elect is Habakkuk 2:16. All right, said, Thou art filled with shameful glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. Okay, the cup of the Lord's hand, all right, of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee. Okay, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. And this is what America is going through, this shameful spewing. Because there's nothing but there's a major expose on America and what it really stands for, man. What it was built upon, and that's another thing of this scientific racism, is to try to cover up all this history that's coming out, what America is founded upon, and what America truly is, man, what it represents. Okay, because it gave this false sense, okay, of identity to the world. And the world was fooled as if America, was this wholesome, upright, moral, excellent, people loving, humanitarian, all about the rights of all people, women, and children, No, man, it's the exact opposite, man. It's a big satanic, it's a big altar to Satan. Okay, it promotes lewdness, pedo, okay, anything that you can think of that's anti-Messiah. All right, this is what this country is really about. Okay, but they've been able to present themselves, as this darling, okay, on the world stage. Let's get a few precepts. Go to the blue letter real quick. Get a few precepts, and we'll go back. So you go here to the book of Psalms, chapter 10. And ultimately, these devils. They don't care about these other nations, man. Trump is up there. He's just pompous. He just knows that. Look, nigga, I got. I'm backed by the biggest military, nigga, the most money, nigga. What I'm gonna say what I want to say. All right, I ain't here to be no politician. Okay, I ain't gotta study nothing, nigga. I'm me. That's a spirit that they in. It says Psalms 10:1. It says, "Why stand yeah, I started at 3 and get to the point. This wicked 10, it's like Psalms 10:3. It said, For the wicked boasted of his heart's desire, and blessed the covetous whom the Lord abhorred. And this is what this devil is doing, because ultimately, these devils are boasting in the New World Order. That's their desire, is the New World Order. They're done with the old world. Okay? Because all these politicians, even these UN leaders, all of them are not in the loop of everything that's going on. There's certain countries that's in the loop, and certain countries, they're just, trying to run their countries to the best of their ability within the circumstances. So they're not even within the loop. So this devil, he's to the point now, he's in the spirit of boasting. Okay? That's the spirit that you see Trump in, just boasting. Okay? It has nothing to do with actual issues and running the country and, policies and solutions to, no. It has nothing to do with it. It's mostly just him boasting, man. Okay? And what, all right, are these devils doing? Because you read this in the NLT. Let's get this, hold on. Let's get this in the NLT. Because it said they bless the covetous whom the Lord abhors. So this system is all about these devils, rewarding their own wicked kind. Okay? And they don't care about the injustice, to the masses, man. Okay, they don't care about running, okay, a kingdom and righteousness and, equity. Okay, it's about them constantly getting more power and wealth and everyone else suffering. You see, so that's why when you go into the NLT, okay, it said for they brag about their evil desires, man, and that's what these devils been on. These tech guys, which Trump is nothing but a doorway. You gotta look at Trump as a door, and all these technocrats are just coming through the door, introducing themselves to the public. Okay, your Peter Thiels, okay, the guy from Open AI, and all these different guys, these tech guys has been in the shadows. Okay, Trump has just been the door that they've been walking through, and now they're bragging about what they want to do next. Digital ID, global economy. Okay, this is what the devil is on. Okay, so he's not worried about, all right, these little puny nations. Okay, and their concerns and their talks. All right, so that's why just Trump is just up there being a goddamn asshole, man. Okay, it says they praise the greedy, okay, and curse the Lord Yahweh Shemal Shah. You see, and these devils are all about enriching the already rich. Okay, empowering the already powerful. That's what this system is all about. Okay, the New World Order is based on him locking in the system that keeps these particular elite families rich and everyone else suffering, man. Okay, it says the wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek out of the Most High. The Most High is not in all his thoughts. Because you look into that meeting, do you think there was any reverence to any? Here it is. They claim Christianity is persecuted. Well, why didn't Trump go into the Bible? If Christianity is the most persecuted religion, well, why didn't he go into the Bible and speak, okay, and start to establish righteousness? Why didn't he promote the righteousness of the scriptures on their platform? You see, here it is. The Edomite male has the biggest platform, the most influence in the earth. Okay, but the righteousness of the scriptures, all right, is not promoted. Okay, he's talking about the wars he's ended. He needs a Nobel Peace Prize and this. So the Most High, the Most High is not in these devil's thoughts, man. It's all about what they want to do and what they got going on. Okay, verse 5 says, his ways are always grievous, thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for his enemies, he puffeth at them. And that's what you just seen Trump just puffing at these people, man. Now, he don't take, all right, these leaders of these other nations serious, man. Okay, and they don't take that nigga serious, man. Okay, verse 6, it says, he said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity, man. Okay, and this is how the devil is moving, all right, as if his agenda is going to be achieved. He moves like he's not under, all right, investigation by the Most High. Like the Most High is not going to judge this man for everything that he's doing, and that's why you see the pride on these devils, and Trump just a representation of that pride of the higher up elites, man. That's why he just went into that UN meeting and said whatever the hell he wanted to say. Had nothing to do with what was going on. Okay? But there's just the pride of Esau. He's puffed up. He's just puffing at everybody, man. So, oh yeah, then the brother got that. I want to start at verse 4, but the brother, Corner Waff, he brought this precept to mind when he posted. I just want to start at 4. All right, this Nahum 3 and 4 says, because of the multitude, all right, the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot. Okay, because these nations, and see the reason why these nations, favor America, what I call the well-favored harlot. Okay, because these nations that got rich off America, because America is a big consumer country. So these nations' manufacturing industries are driven by the profits from American consumerism. You see, it's two things that make these nations put up with this goddamn devil, man. And be subservient to this devil. All right. First and foremost, that military. And then, all right, the profit of American consumerism. Okay. Which is a major part of these nations' GDP. Is American consumerism. Okay. So for the longest, America has been a well-favored harlot. Okay, said the mistress of witchcraft that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcraft, man. Okay, so these nations, have sold themselves to be influenced by America, through these enchantments, man. Okay, and for the sake of gain and profit. Okay. So when you keep reading, it says, "Behold, I am against thee," said the Lord of hosts. "I will discover thy skirts upon thy face." See, now the Lord is pulling America's skirt. See, now America, okay, is being shown for what it is, what it was, what it always has been. Okay, and I will show it says, "And I will show the nations thy nakedness and the kingdoms thy shame." And that was an example of that, man. The way Trump put himself out there, man, it was like a drunk man. You know how someone is drunk and they're talking and you get what they call secondhand embarrassment because this nigga's just making a complete ass of his goddamn self. That's what it was like with Trump just then, man. Okay, like a drunk nigga talking with no points, just saying shit, man. Okay, but that's symbolic of how America, all right, as a whole and everything that it stands for, is being uncovered. Okay, its wicked roots. Okay, this is a satanic empire, man. All right, it says, "I will cast abominable filth upon thee and make thee vile and will set thee as a gazing stock," man. Okay, and remember, this is going through news worldwide. Okay, this is international news. Okay, what Trump just went up to the UN and did and called that a speech, man. The nation's like, God damn, what the hell is going on in America? Okay, because even when you go here, I looked it up. Let's go here because I looked it up. Looked up a few things. We'll get it, but so I looked up on chat. So I said, hold on, get back. It must have erased it. Let me see. Might have been another one. Did I erase it? Let me see. It's America. Hey. Must have closed the window so like America ain't laughing. Stop on the world. So let's look at it. All right. It said where America is mocked, okay, and ridiculed. So let's see this. All right. It says political dysfunction. It says frequent government shutdowns, congressional infighting, attempts to overturn election results. All right, have made American democracy look fragile to allies, all right, and partial to rivals. The spectacle of American politics, including conspiracy theories, Trump indictments, and election denialism, is often viewed as chaotic and absurd. And this is from an international view. Okay, it says other democracies worry authoritarian regimes laugh and say see, democracy doesn't work. All right. So you go to gun violence. It says mass shootings are so routine in the U.S. that they dominate international headlines, often shocking other nations. Many people abroad are confused or horrified that nothing changes. Okay, because you have these nations, they don't have, the gun rights that Americans have. Okay, so when they hear about all these mass shootings, like, God damn, they looking at America, okay, as real life Grand Theft Auto, man. Okay, and it says U.S. debates over gender, race, drag shows, bathrooms, book bans, and wokeness are often viewed as a scream or bizarre by outsiders, even in liberal democracies, man. So these niggas, you got the gender wars. All right, what is a woman? Okay, the systemic racism. Okay, the drag queen story time. Who can go in what bathroom? Okay, wokeness. This is all from the outside world. They're looking at America like, what are these niggas? What are they doing over there? It says some see it as a nation obsessed with its own internal identity crisis rather than global leadership. It says the U.S. spends more per capita on healthcare than any other country, but doesn't guarantee basic coverage at all. For many outside the U.S., it's incomprehensible that people go bankrupt from medical bills in such a wealthy nation. Because these nations that are less wealthy, they have free Medicare. Okay? They have these things that are free, things that America charges for. Countries that are less wealthy have these things and these services for free. Okay, so the people look at America and how it's being ran. Okay, it's like, damn. This is the world leader. This is the leader of the world. Okay, so let's go back here. Okay, I want to get the rest of this little video and just compare Trump with.
Sound familiar? Any history buffs out there? Does that sound familiar? Folks, that's Hitler talk. That is literally Nazi speak from pre-World War II Germany in the lead up to World War II. It's the same thing. Oh, and I know, right? We're not supposed to call them Nazis because that could cause violence. No, it doesn't. You call a spade, folks. You call it out when you see it. I swear to God, you could probably run parallels right now. Pull up an old Hitler speech, translate it, and then compare it to what Donald Trump just said. Your countries are going to hell. You have to keep these people out of your country. These people are not welcome. These people want to put their religion on you and let their religion take control. Trump was referring to the Muslims. Hitler, of course, referring to Jewish people. Same song, different verse. That's where we are. Same song, different verse. And Trump is repeating it in the year 2025. And we need to be smart enough, intelligent enough to recognize this speech. Because this could have been delivered in the 1930s by Adolf Hitler himself. In fact, if I told you right now that I was kidding, I didn't read Trump's word, I read Hitler's words, you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I could probably pull up old quotes from Hitler, read them, and tell you they came from Trump, and you'd probably believe it because they're so damn similar. This is a 5-alarm fire.
Yeah, man, and there's been multiple sources, multiple things we've been going into that shows, that this is nothing but the Trump, just a part two, of the Hitler pre-World War II. propaganda. Okay, so I had just went to the chat to do a parallel between Trump, all right, and Hitler. Okay, and when you go into it, okay, it says drawing parallels. All right, let me get to it. Okay, so populist messaging. So you go into Donald Trump. It says emphasize the idea of corrupt elite versus the forgotten American people. Adolf Hitler. It said he framed, all right, as Aryan German, all right, versus traitors, all right, the small hats and communists. All right, it says campaign is an all right, outsider fighting the deep state, like he was outside of the system, which Hitler was set up to, but this is Trump. He comes in and he's this outsider, fighting the deep state and fake news media. All right, rose to power opposing the Weimar Republic and democratic norms. Okay, so they come in, as if they're this, this black horse in the race. Okay, they have no political ties, alliances with anyone. They just want to do what's right for the people. Okay, well Hitler came with that same angle. Okay, the Trump is coming with slogans. All right, make America great again. All right, which MAGA goes back to Satanism. Okay, and then you had Hitler. Okay, you had this German saying, "Invoke, Enrique, and Fury." All right, one people, one empire, one leader. All right, national unity and strength. Okay, so going back to nationalism and identity policies, it says American first policy reduce international cooperation. Hitler hyper nationalism focused on racial purity and German supremacy. Okay, immigration, hardline stance, Muslim ban, border wall with Mexico. All right, grapist comments, blame. All right, the small hats and immigrants for Germany's decline. Supported racial purity laws. Okay, it says scapegoating immigrants, China. 'Cause America, they scapegoat immigrants, China media, and political opposition for all the problems. Okay. And what did Hitler put it on? He said the small hats, communists, and others blamed for economic and political issues. Okay. It said media attacks and propaganda. All right. Trump called the media the enemy of the people, promoted alternative facts. Hitler used state-controlled media or Goebbels propaganda to control narrative. Massive uh, theatrical rallies, direct communication to followers. All right, Nuremberg rallies. All right, so Hitler had the Nuremberg rallies, were grand spectacles to inspire loyalty. Man, that's why these Trump rallies be so theoretical. Just as Hitler's rallies were what theoretical, man. Okay, and it was a speech. Okay, those rallies were nothing but psyops. All right, to push an ideology that had nothing to do with what was really going on. Okay, because guess what? After Hitler, what did you have? You had a new world order where America was a superpower. Okay, America took its place as that whore that rideth on the beast after World War II as the superpower. That was a great change after that war. So now, as they go into this new world order where there's really one world government, okay, well they pushing the same character with Trump, man. And this many more, okay. But yeah, man. So these devils, all right, they're setting up, okay, for this new world order. And Trump is just a character, okay. He's just a character meant to play a role while the real powers at work are behind the scene setting this thing up, man. Okay. So let's get one more, we'll close out. Okay. And get that in Job. The book of Job. Chapter 5. Yep. This book of Job, chapter 5. in verse 12, it says he disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform the enterprise. Okay, so the devil, all right, he's not going to be able to pull this off. He's going to get so far. Okay, and you see the elites in their mind, they have all these crafty devices, set up, with Donald Trump being one of them, to where they think, they're going to distract the people, okay, while they set this new world order up, okay, and then just be able to depopulate, okay, cause a war, because they're used to managing wars. You see, these conflicts and these wars that we see happening, all right, you look at why, Russia and, all these different nations been fighting for so long. Well, they're used to managing these wars. Well, this World War III is going to spiral out of control. They're not going to be able to manage it. Okay, and it's going to ruin everything that they trying to accomplish with this new world order. Okay, so this devil, he's playing a part in his own dismantling. That's why you got Job 5 and 13. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the fraud is carried headlong. So he's getting ready to lose, man. Okay, and the Lord has Esau, all right, looking like a clown. Esau is turning into an international clown. Okay, America is becoming a joke. All right, and all it is doing is emboldening these nations to take this place to war. Okay, to go ahead and take America to war. You see, so that's the point. Just wanted to get into that this morning. Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters are edified once again. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers, and peace and blessings salutations to the hopeful elect Shalom.